Jalen Hurts is good. Jalen Hurts can win a Super Bowl, but Jalen Hurts is not A1 quarterback top shelf material.
I'm going straight to the top. Just put the sec on the clock. I am Ray Allen's a shot. I'm going straight to the top.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Mike here, Sports and the Real Podcast, coming at you once again. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, share, comment, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Follow on social media platforms, TikTok primarily, IG, all that good stuff. Check out the website, sportsandthereal.tv, sportsandthereal.tv. It's playoffs continue. College football playoffs, NFL playoffs continue. College football playoffs continue. Let's jump into it. First, college football playoffs. So I was wrong about the Hurricanes. My apologies to the Hurricanes fans. And it's not like I was terribly wrong. I wasn't. All right. I was right that Ole Miss was going to score some points, and they did. Miami's defense actually had nothing for Ole Miss. Like, Ole Miss started walking up and down the field on them. But what I didn't factor into my prediction was that Ole Miss defense actually sucks. They can't tackle worth of nothing. They're just straight garbage. And they made the Hurricanes look like a potent offense. Yeah, the Hurricanes got a good running game and all that, but they did whatever they wanted. And I forgot that Ole Miss defense is terrible. And actually, as I think back about it and look back on what I've talked about before on this podcast, Ole Miss's defense was one of the reasons I was like, where has the SEC gone in terms of defense? Why is everybody in the SEC giving up 30 points? And I had said that after I watched the Ole Miss game. I had watched the Ole Miss game, and I think the following week I had watched the Alabama UGA game, where pretty much nobody can get stops anymore. I was like, man, where is the SEC defense? And Ole Miss is prime example of where the hell is the SEC's defense? What has happened? So you got all these great athletes on offense, but the SEC used to be known as we got great athletes all around. Miami's a good team, but they're not loaded like that yet. They're definitely not on offense. So while Ole Miss was doing their thing, Miami was doing their thing, and nobody could get a stop. Eventually, time runs out. So I wasn't expecting Miami to do that. But I should have expected that because Ole Miss's defense is terrible. And they kept calling it out on the broadcast like they don't tackle well. And they missed tackle after tackle on third down. Like, it was terrible. Blown coverages all over the place. Yikes. So that's one semifinal game. Indiana smacked the crap out of Oregon. I'm not sure what the analysis is for that game because that game was over. I usually don't turn off games. I'm going to tell y'all this. Like, my wife knows, and people who know me, like, I'll stay and watch most games. The whole thing. Even when it's a blowout, I'll stay and watch. I could not stay and watch this Indiana-Oregon game because Oregon gave up and Indiana stole their hearts out. They took their hearts out. And that typically what happens when one team is just more physical and the other team is more finesse. And Oregon seems to be that way. Every time they get to a big game against a physical team, no matter which generation, which iteration of Oregon it is, when they get up against a physical team, they look soft. And Indiana punched the hell out of them, and nobody on Oregon wanted to punch back. Nobody on Oregon wanted to fight back. Mendoza did his thing great, but Indiana's defense just kept smacking the hell out of the quarterback. Out of Oregon's quarterback. Like, every freaking time he dropped back, he was getting smashed. It was, pick on the first play of the game here and fumble there. And it's not a good look for Oregon, no matter which generation of Oregon teams it is. they just look soft when they run up against big time teams, physical teams. It's like you want to say, well, it's the culture, but damn, culture lasts through freshman through sophomore. Every iteration is the same thing. So what this weekend of CFP proved to me and reminded me, which is great, is that physicality still wins in football. Usually the more physical team will win in a football game. Yeah, offensive aerial attacks look great. Throwing the ball down the field, chicks dig the long ball. Great. But what wins big time games is big boy football, physical football. And that's what Indiana and Miami did. Those boys got physical when it mattered. The other team couldn't block, as in Oregon couldn't block. Ole Miss couldn't tackle. And that's football. You got to be able to stop the other team, and you got to be able to protect your quarterback enough to be able to score against the other team. But Indiana looked great. They looked unstoppable. And I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting a closer game. I was actually thinking the Miami score would be more lopsided if one of the games would be a blowout. I thought maybe Ole Miss would be the one to blow out. But they didn't. They lost, actually. I didn't think Indiana was going to blow out Oregon. But they made them look bad. They made them look soft. They punched them in the mouth. Nobody fought back. And they made Indiana look great. So now it's Indiana against Miami. It's kind of similar teams, both rough, tough. Miami's proving to be well coached. But I'm going to have to go with Indiana here. Indiana is just Miami, but on a next level. Better coached. I think they're tougher. I think they're better on offense. I think they're better on defense. I think they're more disciplined. They're just a better all-around team, more complete. So I'm taking Indiana versus the Hurricanes. And honestly, I know you're going to call me a hater, Hurricanes fans. I don't know how close it's going to be. I don't know how close it's going to be with between Indiana and Miami on Monday night. Because this Indiana team looks legit. I thought Alabama would hang in there. Didn't do it. Oregon didn't do it. And as good as Miami has looked, as good as their defense has been, Indiana's defense is better, and I think Indiana's offense is built to withstand the physicality of Miami's defense. It doesn't all have to be on Mendoza's shoulders. They could run the ball, like they do different things. So I think Indiana probably pulls away from Miami on this one. We'll visit back next week, and you guys can call me a hater and throw it in my face if Miami wins. But physicality wins, bro. In football, you can't get away with it. Physicality wins. Here's one last thing, and I said this last week's episode. Trinidad Chambliss is still trying to go back to college. Trinidad Chambliss, please, if you're listening, if you hear this, take your butt to the pros, man. Sign up for the NFL draft. Forget this lawsuit trying to get back into Ole Miss. Like, strike while the iron is hot. You balled in that game, bro. You balled all season. There is no guarantee that you're going to be able to repeat all these performances if you go back to college. Take the money. Well, I can't say take the money because y'all getting paid now in college. All right? Ain't no take the money. Ain't no take the money. God. Oh, he might make more in college than he will in the NFL. Take the NFL contract if you can. Because now I think he at least has a chance to get signed on, to get drafted and sign on, at least be a backup based off of this year's tape. I don't know how long this lasts. He has a talent, but I don't know if the team around him, I don't know Ole Miss's situation, if the team around him stays the same enough for him to look like this again. Lane is gone. I don't know. They still got Charlie Weiss Jr. as his offensive coordinator, but I don't know how it looks next year for Ole Miss for Trinidad Chambers. If I were him, if Trinidad Chambers were my kid, I would say, hey, let's think about the NFL draft. He looked really good all season. Arm talent is there. Toughness is there. Decision-making is there. Accuracy is there. Like, he has all of that stuff. The only thing people are going to question for Trinidad Chambers is his size. But of all the, I said this last week, of all the quarterbacks, right, that are potentially going into the draft this year for the NFL, matter of fact, of all the quarterbacks I watched this year, even those with better numbers, Trinidad Chambers was my favorite to watch. Given what was around him, what he was expected to do, the types of passes he made, the clutch plays that he made, I think Trinidad Chambers should go pro. I think he's the best quarterback in the draft. At least he looks like it. Yeah, Mendoza won the Heisman. I don't know if I'm drafting any of them in the first round. But if I had to, if somebody gunned to my head and said, hey, man, you got to take somebody in the first round, I'm taking Trinidad Chambers. I think he has the most upside of any of these guys that could potentially come out in the draft this year. So, yeah, get out of there, bro. Take your butt to the NFL. Speaking of NFL, couple of things before we get into the playoffs. Mike McDaniel from my Miami Dolphins is fired. I told y'all at the beginning of the year, this might be Mike McDaniel's last year. Y'all going to start listening to me, man. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I see. I said it in August, September. I said, this is probably Mike McDaniel's last year. And this was before Cheetah got hurt. I said this because the Dolphins have been soft the entire time Mike McDaniel's been there. Great offensive mind. But you know what? Some guys are just made to be offensive coordinators. They are. Some guys are just made to be defensive coordinators. Yeah, it's okay. You know what? Take your shot. Take the opportunity, see what you got. But not everyone who's a great offensive coordinator is a great head coach. The head coach of an entire football team it's a different level, man. Different level of personality, different level of responsibility. Like, Mike McDaniel seemed to be too cool. And if you ever been down to South Florida, you know, Mike McDaniel was like Miami Vice. They called him Miami Mike. His style was more impressive than his coaching ability. Sunglasses, the shades, you know, the joggers on the sidelines. That's all nice and cool. But when it's time to play real football against the big boys, the Dolphins hardly ever showed up. So, yeah, they beat the Buffalo Bills a couple of times out of Miami, but they struggled against good teams. More physical teams beat them up. And that, to me, is the sign of somebody who's not ready to be a head coach. Great offensive coordinator. You can design the hell out of some plays, but Mike wasn't ready to be a head coach. Maybe he'll get another opportunity. Some people are trying to blame Tua. I hear people trying to say, Tua got Mike McDaniel fired. No, Mike McDaniel made Tua's career because Robert Flores knew that Tua wasn't like that. He wasn't ready for big boy football. People are going to say, well, it's because he got hurt in college. It's not the injuries. His arm ain't strong enough. And when the pocket gets, you know, kind of muffled and shuffled around him, he's not ready to play, man. He's ready to bail, like he's not strong in the pocket. If Tua's not on time and on platform, he struggles. So Mike McDaniel was able to design, once they got Cheetah, Mike McDaniel was able to design a great offense that scored points and scored 70 points in a game, and they looked crazy. But the truth is, one, Mike McDaniel was never a great head coach because his defense and his team was always soft. Two, Tua just isn't that dude. Good quarterback, but he's not the guy they paid him to be, which is what I said. It's not that Tua sucks. He doesn't deserve to be a starter. He can be a starter in the league. But if you're going to build a team and win with the Miami Dolphins, with Tua there, this is what the next head coach for the Dolphins is going to have to do. The next head coach for the Dolphins is going to have to build a team where Tua is not the main guy. It's tough because he's making $200 million. It's tough. How do you pay somebody $200 million when they're not the head guy? Unfortunately, they're going to have to, the next coach for the Miami Dolphins is going to have to build a team where Tua is secondary. They have a great running game. They have a great O-line, similar to how the Eagles are built. And I'll get to the Eagles in a bit. The Dolphins are going to have to build a team like the Eagles are built. Jalen Hurts is good. Jalen Hurts can win a Super Bowl, but Jalen Hurts is not A1 quarterback top shelf material. He ain't Pat. He ain't Josh. He's not Lamar. He's not these top flight cats. So if you ask Jalen to do these things that those guys do, it ain't going to work out. Jalen needs a team, structure. He needs an O-line that gives him 10 seconds. He needs a defense that makes plays. He needs a running back and, what lanes, a bus can drive through. Then, he can be calm, he can be poised, he can be who he is, and he'll win. The Miami Dolphins need to take a page out of the Philadelphia Eagles playbook, build a strong O-line, build a defense, get a running game up in there, and make it so that Tua is secondary. He'll make plays, no doubt. But their primary weapon of choice, their primary mode of attack, can't be Tua. Yeah, he's getting paid a lot of money, and it's going to be hard to afford a lot of great offensive linemen and, a top flight running back. It's going to be hard. So I don't know how you do it, but that's the only way the Miami Dolphins actually win. And asking Chris Grier to do that, Dolphins fans know. Asking Chris Grier to build that kind of team is damn near impossible. Chris Grier, probably the longest tenured Dolphins personnel in the organization. GM. He's been through GM hirings and GM firings, and he's been through head coach hirings and head coach firings, and he's the mainstay. So that's a whole nother conversation. What happens to Chris Grier? But yeah, if Dolphins are going to be successful with the next head coach, they need a guy who's about physicality, who's about running the ball, and then Tua becomes secondary. So we'll see how it works out there. John Harbaugh also got let go. This one's tough because John Harbaugh was probably on the verge of getting fired before Lamar arrived. Lamar comes in, they go on a tremendous run, right? And they both needed each other. Lamar needed John Harbaugh, and John Harbaugh needed Lamar. They both needed each other, symbiotic relationship. But maybe, you start hearing some rumors. Maybe the relationship kind of soured. I don't know. I'm not in the locker room. I'm not around that team. That's not my team. So I'm not in the details. But what I do know is that John Harbaugh's teams, who are usually physical and you don't play with their defense, and they look real soft this year. They got shredded for most of the year. And even the last game against Pittsburgh, Aaron Rodgers beat them at the end. When you needed a stop, Baltimore's defense couldn't get a stop. So what do? You blame it on the head coach, he has to go. I don't know if he's truly to blame. I don't know what the situation is again. But I still think John Harbaugh is a good coach. I think he's going to get picked up. Matter of fact, I think my Dolphins should go after him. I've always liked the way he coaches. I've always liked his style. I like his physicality. Him and his brother, they coach physical football, which, like I said before, is what wins championships. But Baltimore made that decision. I don't know what went into it. I don't know if Lamar said, hey, I need somebody else in my ear. But John Harbaugh trusted Lamar. Like you see these clips, you watch these games, like every big decision, he was like, I trust Lamar. John Harbaugh had Lamar's back 100% all the time. I trust Lamar. I trust you, man. Fourth down and whatever. I trust you, man. Always. So I don't know where Baltimore goes from here. I really don't. We'll see on that. All right, let's recap the wild card rounds, and then we'll get into some predictions for divisional rounds. Talked about Jalen Hurts. Who's to blame? Who's to blame for Philly? People blaming Jalen. People blaming AJ. I blame them both. AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts are to be blamed. Both of them are the two highest players on the team, and they both came up short. Can Jalen blame AJ Brown's drops? Yes. AJ had a bad game, and actually AJ Brown, that game reminded me of, remember watching AJ Brown in Tennessee. He had some games like that in Tennessee where he just couldn't catch nothing. Had some big-time drops, clutch drops. Left his hands at home the other day. So, yeah, Jalen can blame AJ, but Jalen didn't have a good game either. He really didn't. Missed some throws, just not there in the pocket. They called it out on a broadcast a couple of times where he just left the pocket too soon. Tom Brady talked about that. Where he left the good pocket too soon. It's like, where are you going? And that's really been Jalen's MO. That's been his style, even as a Super Bowl quarterback. Is Jalen can beat you deep ball, couple steps, 7-step drop, whatever it is, deep ball, beautiful throws. Short passes, cool. Intermediate, standing in the pocket, pick you apart, that ain't him. That's not. And teams know that. Teams know if you're going to be Philly, especially now that, the O-line is not what it used to be where they're giving them 20 seconds to throw the ball. Teams know to beat Philly, if you force them into obvious passing situations, Jalen's not going to be able to pick you apart like that. He's not going to pick you, crossing pattern there, out there. Like, he's not that. In breaking route, like, he's not that. He doesn't, and Shady, was talking on a podcast, talking about the word is out that Jalen can't run a complex offense. I don't know if it's complex offense or whatever it is, but his attacking is deep downfield and short. Being able to cut you here, cut you there, dice you here, make you pay for blitzing here, with quick, passes, intermediate, in-cut passes, accurate. That's not him. That part of his game is still missing. And I don't know if he can get better at that at this point. Maybe. So the Eagles lost because their two best players, maybe not the two best players, two of the three best players, but definitely their two highest paid players came up small. So now you got a long off season. And now fans are going to be talking about, does AJ Brown deserve to come back? Because he's getting paid a lot of money, and he spent all year complaining about not getting the ball. And then in the biggest game, when the ball came to him, he dropped it. Those are legitimate complaints by Eagles fans. You spend all year complaining about not getting the ball, and when you get the ball in the biggest game where the team needs you, you can't be found. You ghost. And it's not all on AJ, like I said, but those were big drops. You're ghost. We already know Jalen ain't going nowhere. That's too much money. He ain't going nowhere. And they owe AJ a lot of money too, so I don't know if he can go anywhere either. But there's definitely going to be rumblings from the fans, like, what the hell is going on? Second highest player on the team. Supposed to be your best wide receiver. Had a rough game. Had a very rough game. So that's going to be a long off season. Thinking about it. Devontae actually didn't have a great game either. But, it starts with Jalen and it starts with AJ, and neither of those two guys had a great game. Moving on. The Rams almost got upset. Damn, that was a good game. I thought Carolina was going to pull it off. So the Rams won. They barely escaped Carolina. Carolina's only question to me is they got an up-and-coming team. Good coach, up-and-coming team. What do they do with Bryce Young? Now he's proven that he can win. You can win with him. But you can win with him. I don't know if you're winning because of Bryce Young. I swear to you, he still looks like sometimes he struggles to get the ball down the field. Like he's not strong enough. He's really slight of build. Like if you compare him to Trinidad Chambliss, compare Bryce Young to Trinidad Chambliss, like Trinidad Chambliss gets the ball downfield. Like his arm is powerful. Even though he's small in stature, he's a little bit thicker than Bryce. He gets the ball downfield. Bryce Young looks like he struggles to get the ball downfield. Looks like a high schooler. I've said this before. I'm not kidding. So Carolina has a good team. Bryce Young, you can win with him. At least good enough, right? Maybe to get in the playoffs in a bad division, you can. I don't know if you can win the big game with Bryce. And the problem is, I don't know who's out there that you would replace him. You would replace him, especially in this year's draft. I don't know who's going to be available in free agency. I don't know that's the tough part with Carolina. They won enough to not be top, the top pick, even though the top pick in this year's draft, ain't no quarterback, I don't think, again, is worth the top pick. But who can you get to replace Bryce Young? So you might be stuck with Bryce Young for another year and see how far you can go with that. But they got a really nice team. I was impressed the way they played in that game. They probably should have won. But Matt Stafford, and the boys came back. Green Bay against Chicago, the Bears won. Only takeaway from that is the Bears are better than we thought. Caleb Williams is growing up, even though he still, sometimes, misses easier passes. But Green Bay's defense is just not the same without Micah Parsons. It's not. That's the breakdown. That's the analysis. Micah Parsons was supposed to be the guy that took them over the hump because that defense was supposed to be special, and it just wasn't. Without him, it's not, unfortunately. So Caleb Williams looked good. They did their thing. Coming back again at the end. Like, that's impressive. I give him props. Ben Johnson doing his thing with Caleb. I give him props. Some people call me a Caleb Williams hater. Not a hater. I just didn't think his style from USC would win in the NFL. And if you notice, he's doing less of those USC-type throws. Now he's just showing that he can throw. Straight drop back, throw the ball. He's doing more and more of those things. Running around, scrambling, that looks good for the highlights. Every once in a while you might need that. But straight drop back, throw the ball accurately, and get it there on time is what wins. And he's doing more and more of that. Ben Johnson really, really did a hell of a job coaching him up. But that game, I think, was just Green Bay's defense not able to affect Caleb the way they probably would have had Micah Parsons been there. Patriots and Herbert. Patriots made Herbert look like a scrub. Patriots made Justin Herbert look straight garbo. All right? I don't know what the analysis is from Chargers perspective. They look bad. They look really, really bad. Like the Patriots ran all over them pretty much. And the defense didn't play that bad, but the Patriots were able to run when they wanted to. Drake made just enough plays. But that defense, Patriots defense just ate up Justin Herbert. They couldn't block him. Vrabel and his schemes, they made that boy look terrible. And I know Justin's got to be hurt. I haven't heard the news yet, but a couple of times he got popped real good. If it hasn't come out yet, it's gonna come out that what's his name? Justin Herbert ribs like cracked or something because he got hurt pretty good. So shout out to the Patriots. I predicted it. I said, hey man, Foxborough is a tough place to play. It is. Whether it's Belichick or now, it's just a tough place to play, especially in the playoffs. It's cold. It's loud. It's just a different atmosphere, man. So Patriots defense made them look like a championship contending team. I don't know if they can keep that up. Because that's not what they did in the regular season. They were okay, but they weren't this. They stepped it up and made the Chargers look like just an awful team. They beat them into submission. At one point, Justin didn't want to get hit no more. They killed him. So, yeah, shout out to the Patriots. Jacksonville was probably the most disappointing result of the weekend. I had picked Jacksonville to win. I thought they were going to get Josh to turn the ball over. Didn't happen. It turned out Trevor was the one who turned the ball over a couple times. So Jacksonville's out, and Trevor and Herbert have some growing up to do in the playoffs. Good quarterbacks, still young. But both of those guys can be better in the playoffs because Trevor had some turnovers. Like, what is going on? And even like on a fourth down sneak, he can't keep his feet to get a fourth down. Trevor Lawrence, that is. It's just, you got to be better. I expected better from Jacksonville. I thought they had the most complete team, actually. They had the offense and defense to match. Didn't look that good against Buffalo. And I don't think Buffalo's defense was like lights out. I just think Jacksonville didn't have it. Game plan, whether it's a game plan, whether it's Trevor Lawrence just not playing well, it didn't look good. It didn't look good at all. So both Trevor and Justin are going to have to be better in the playoffs. So I was wrong about Jacksonville. I was right about the Patriots. I was wrong about Green Bay. I was right about the Rams, barely. I was wrong about Philly. Houston. That defense is nasty. Talking about beating up on somebody. Houston beat the hell out of Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers got to go after this one. That's too much pain. 42, 43 years old to be taken. That's too much pain. Will Anderson Jr. was clobbering this cat. And everybody on that D-line was just killing. And the linebackers. And nobody could get open. DK Metcalf was ghost. Houston's legit, y'all. Houston's legit. Aaron Rodgers got to go. I hope he's done. I hope he's not pulling a Brett Favre of I'm going, I'm coming, I'm going, I'm going, I'm coming. I hope Aaron is done. For his sake, for his brain's sake, I think he's taking enough hits. He should go. But shout out to Houston. They look like championship contenders. That defense, whoo! That defense makes it ugly. Yikes. So Houston takes out Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin's last game in Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin turns his papers in and says, I'm out of here. Steelers fans, a lot of them are probably celebrating like, yes, Mike Tomlin's gone. I'm going to say this. First of all, congratulations to Mike Tomlin on a great career, 19 years of no losing seasons. Now, you know how hard it is? You know how hard it is to go through the NFL 19 years and not have a losing season? Yeah, he probably should have won more playoff games. He had better teams to win more playoff games. Probably. Not recently because he didn't have a quarterback recently. But he had teams that probably should have gone deeper in the playoffs. But you know how hard it is to consistently have a winning record or a non-losing record in the NFL? Detroit was supposed to be a hot team after last season. Detroit did their thing. Mr. Kneecap was like, supposed to be the it coach. And next year, and they come around and they're under 500. Dealing with injuries and all these things, dealing with quarterbacks who probably shouldn't be starting. All these things Mike Tomlin was able to overcome to have 19 straight non-losing seasons. Yeah, he may not be Bill Belichick and Andy Reid, but given what he was working with, the lack of a quarterback, this year you could probably blame his defense, but usually, especially after Ben got old, it was the defense that carried them. He's respected. The players respect him. Opponents respect him. He's going to get a job real quick. And he's another cat who I wouldn't mind the Dolphins picking up. He might take a year off, decompress. But if Mike Tomlin wants a job, wants to go to Miami, we'll take him. Now, that's the true Miami Mike. Miami Mike Tomlin. But here's what I'm going to say about this, and this applies also to John Harbaugh. Ravens fans wanted John Harbaugh gone too. Steelers fans and Ravens fans are going to probably find out what Tennessee Titans fans found out this year or the last couple of years. Yeah, Titans fans were complaining about Vrabel. Oh, he's not an offensive-minded coach. Oh, he's not into analytics. Oh, the game may have passed him by that style of coaching. Oh, he's not easy to get along with. All these things the fans, Tennessee Titans fans, were saying about Mike Vrabel, got him fired. Now Mike Vrabel's with New England Patriots. Who knows, heading to the Super Bowl maybe. And the Titans are going nowhere fast. The coach after Vrabel, not good. Fired. Season and a half in. And now they're looking for another coach. And now they don't have no identity. And the fans are like, damn, bring back Mike Vrabel. We don't know what we had. We didn't know what we had. The same thing is going to happen with Harbaugh and with Tomlin, Steelers and Ravens. You're more likely, Steelers and Ravens fans, to go through bad seasons than to hit a home run on the next head coach who's going to pick up the slack and have you in the playoffs and then in the Super Bowl. You're more likely to regress. More likely to have 3-4 win seasons, even with the talent, than to go into the Super Bowl. Now, because of Lamar, the Ravens are probably going to still be good, most likely. But I don't know if, you say, okay, well, let me get the new head coach and automatically, now we're in a Super Bowl. Be careful. All I'm saying is be careful what you wish for, because other fan bases have wished for their head coach to be fired, and their head coach gets fired, who was winning games, right? Who made bad teams look good, better than they were, gets fired, and then you turn around and hire somebody who's even worse. Be careful what you wish for. All right, let's do some divisional round predictions. Real quick, lightning round. Denver and Buffalo. I think Denver beats Buffalo. I think this is the game where Josh turns the ball over because Denver's defense ain't playing around. This ain't Jacksonville. I thought Jacksonville's defense was good, but this game's gonna be in Denver, mile high, loud. I think Denver beats Buffalo. I think that nasty defense gives them fits, turns the ball over, and they make just enough plays on offense, Denver does, to win. All right? For Buffalo to win, Josh is going to have to be great. He's going to have to not turn the ball over. Can he do that another game in the playoffs? We'll see. Highly unlikely given his reputation. All right? So I got Buffalo there. Houston and the Patriots. Wow. This game's going to be tough. Like I said, man, Foxborough is a tough place to play. It is. But I think Houston's defense is just so damn nasty. So sick. I think they get to Drake. I really do. I think his youth and experience shows. Sorry, Patriots fans. And I think Houston wins close battle. This one's going to be a close defensive battle. Listen, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this, all right? Houston, if their defense wasn't so great, Houston probably takes an L. Because offensively, they were scattered. Throwing picks, fumbling the ball. Like, what the hell? What was that about? If the defense didn't keep giving the ball back and giving them the ball back and giving them the ball back, Houston probably takes an L against Pittsburgh. But they don't because that defense is so nasty. If that happens against the Patriots, all bets are off. Patriots are going to win. But I don't think C.J. Stroud has another bad game like that. He can't. fumbling snaps, can't handle snaps, throwing picks. You can't. If C.J. Stroud does that again, Patriots are going to win. But I don't think he does. Even in Foxborough, I think they play safer. I think D'Amico talks to him. I think Houston wins a tough one. This one's going to be a knock 'em out, drag out type of joint. I'm waiting for that one. Can't wait. That's going to be big-time football right there. But I think Houston sneaks it out. Rams and Bears, I think the Rams win. I think they're more complete. I think they're more experienced, more physical. I think the Rams win. I think they may have sleptwalk a little bit against Carolina. I think they come to play against the Bears, and I think they'll beat the Bears. Seattle and San Francisco would have been another great game. Might still be a great game, but there's just too many injuries for San Fran. Kittle goes out with an ACL. I mean, how much more can you handle? Shanahan's doing his best, but damn. How much more can you handle? At this point, it's just Purdy, McCaffrey. Juwan Jennings and these receivers get open every once in a while, but it's really Purdy and McCaffrey. And I don't know if you can beat Seattle. Seattle's going to be keying in on McCaffrey, man. I see Seattle winning this one because they're going to basically say somebody else has to beat us besides Christian McCaffrey. They're at home. Crowd's going to be obnoxious. I got Seattle. So I'm taking Denver. I'm taking Houston. I'm taking the Rams. I'm taking Seattle at home to beat San Fran, who just has too many injuries and they can't handle it. All right. What do y'all think? Let me know. So that was a quick run through of my divisional round predictions. I'm going to leave it right there. As always, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging out for a few minutes. I'm going to catch you guys next time. You guys have a great week. Mike, sports and the real shit. Y'all be good. Peace. I'm going straight to the top. Just put the sec on the clock. I am Ray Allen's a shot. I'm going straight to the top.